Greetings and salutations, this is Imperator Vespasian and his trusty sidekick.
Hello.
Today we're bringing you our brand new box, a Fireforge Games Deus Vult Russian Infantry 28mm hard plastic figures. They're from the Crusades really, but the late Dark Age, medieval period, the standard sort of stuff you get, and I just love these guys because it's about time someone did something like Russians, which were very unique and quite cool. So we'll pop them out and have a look. For anyone who didn't see the last video, what does Deus Vult mean?
God's will.
Well done.
God wants.
So here we have the standard bases that you get, which are the 6x4 bases and the individual bases. We're basing ours on clear plastic for this particular game, so that's not going to we're not going to use them, but they're great for anyone who wants to use them. And it's very useful that you get bases with figures these days, isn't it?
You used to not be able to.
Yeah.
You used to just be this.
Yeah, you used to just get the figures and you had to make your own bases, which was sometimes...
This is what you did?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Our 40k was made on plastic stuff we got from Games Workshop separately.
Yeah, do you remember those?
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
And then you used to get wood and cut ground sometimes.
Yeah, we still do that. For 15 mil and stuff. So here are the figures. I will just adjust the camera. For regular viewers, you will know that our actual camera, our proper camera for filming figures, has gone bye-byes. It is at the camera doctor at the moment, and the camera doctor appears to have forgot about it. So
no, servers all went down.
Yeah, apparently the servers went down. Yeah, and the
doctor fell asleep.
And the dog ate your homework as well. Yeah, definitely.
Not at school. People used to try that. Even in high school, in year 7, said the dog ate it.
Why would a dog eat homework? Why would it eat paper?
Force feed it.
I mean, why would a dog eat paper? I mean, newspaper sticking out of the door. Kind of get that because it's a toy. You can play with it. But your homework, which is theoretically A4 sheets of paper.
In your bedroom.
In your bedroom. Yeah, where the dog plays with paper. Yeah.
Yeah, you shouldn't be in your bedroom.
Although we had a really, really stupid dog who once ate a bar of soap. Actually ate an entire bar of soap. How stupid can you get? So maybe sometimes dogs actually do eat homework, but I would like to see proof of that.
Yeah, film it and then show you teaching.
Yeah, I want actual evidence that it happened, including a full internal body scan of the dog to prove that it's in its stomach and everything. I want serious proof.
Impossible.
I want serious proof. If you're going to prove to me that dogs eat homework, that's what I want. So,
you're a weak person.
First you get these little spare Sprues, which are great because these are the long spears. I am entirely not sure why they couldn't have cast the actual box with the spears in them, because there is certainly ample room to have put them on, and I've seen Warlord as well, but I've seen Gripping Beast manage to cram an enormous amount of things onto a sprue. And certainly the other Deus Vult box that we've got from Fireforge, the Foot Sergeants, that has quite a lot of stuff crammed onto it, whereas this seems to be quite sparse. But
maybe they want to make it look tiny.
I don't know, it's odd that you've got separate spears. Anyway, separate spears. These are really long spears. They're longer than the normal spears you get in these kind of boxes. Other than the Greek box, these are the longest spears I've ever seen in a box, so they're really long. And the spare ones will come in very handy for my party and lancers. So
I knew you were going to use it for something else.
I never use anything right. Anyway, we will start with the actual figures. Starting off, we have 5 figures per sprue and 5 sprues in the box, a total of 25 figures. They're lovely figures. Some of them, most of them are wearing mail, some are wearing different types of mail, and they're also wearing the wooden shields. It's like the samurai used bamboo folded wood.
I thought you were about to say wooden armor then.
No, it's to protect the shins. It's quite a useful sort of thing. You put you tie them together, tie little sticks together, and it goes around your legs, and then you fasten it up with a belt, and it's a solid defence against your feet being injured when you're in a shield wall.
I guess it works.
Yeah, it did work. So all figures come with a sword attached to them, so you don't get separate swords to attach. So there's nothing wrong with that. Hand-wise, there is actually a limitation as to how many different poses you can do with the hands. So you have to swap between bodies as to which arms you're using. But mostly the troops are, if you look on the back of the box, which I forgot to show you at the beginning of the video because I'm stupid, you can see the different ways that soldiers are holding weapons. And just try not to knock everything over. So a lot of the shield arms and the open-handed arms can be used for different purposes. So you can have them to hold the spear, or you can have them to hold the axe. So you can get quite a lot of use out of them, but you are kind of limited to the amount of individual poses you can get, because there is only 5 different variants in the box, which isn't a downside because you're going to do head swaps and stuff. So
I mean, you've got the other bodies in different spruces.
They're all the same. So, but you've got different heads you can put on and stuff, and there are just enough arms, just enough sets of arms to be able to do quite a lot of variety. But if you're doing a very large Russian army, then figures will start to begin to look samey. But that's the same with many things, and it's still a lot better than buying lead figures because they're all in one pose. So it's still a great thing.
I got post infantry.
Yeah, which are all identical. So next thing is small weapons. There's only 2 small weapons, hand weapons in the box. Sorry, on the sprue, and that's a mace, which is just there, and you already know my opinion on maces. That is a lovely ball mace with spikes on it. I own one of those. They're actually really nice. I've never actually used it in anger, but it will be interesting to see what happened to a human skull after they broke in.
So you just start getting ideas right now.
What?
That.
Why? Well, obey the law and you won't get hurt.
If the purge existed, you would be out there like that, I bet you.
Why?
Because it's something you do.
No, I've got no one I want to kill. Why would I want to kill people? I'm gonna it's purge night. I'm gonna go and kill people. Why? Why do you want to kill people? You're weird. Do you know how many people out there want to kill people? Very few. Very, very few. That's why there's so few murders.
Movies portray it.
Yeah, movies say, oh, all people will become psychopathic killers in a moment. No, they won't. You're stupid. No, most people just want to get on with life, and they have bills to pay and stuff, and they're not sat there thinking how to murder people.
People who are thinking of murdering people will be killed by people who are thinking nicely.
Well, apparently there are currently 7 serial killers operating in Britain today.
Yeah.
That's out of a population of how many?
73 million.
Right, so out of 73 million, 1 in a million is a psychopathic killer.
Hey, China's got 1,043,000,000.
Yeah, they don't have that many psychopathic killers. They tend to put those in the army. Or make them leader. Not the current Chinese government, of course. They're awesome. I love them. They're great. Along with China. But they have had a few complete lunatics. But then again, so has every country. Just here is the sword. A nice sword, because the way the arm is positioned, you can actually have it poking over the shield in quite an good attack position, and you can also have it as if it's down the side of the figure. I have experimented. I've already done one of these sprues, or I've started anyway, and it's actually a lot more posable than it seems. It's a bit like there's one of the Viking swords that you can do the same with. Depending on whereabouts you angle it, depends on what the figure's doing. It's quite good. Next thing is the axe. The Russian army used the primary weapons of the Russian army at the time, or the Rus army at the time, was the battle axe, which is usually a two-handed axe like that. It's very, very heavy and will do a lot of damage. And of course the spear. And what they would usually do is they would position, the front rank would be made up of men with a mace or sword. The second rank would be made up of men with axes, and the third rank would be made up with men with spears. And that means that because of the length of each weapon, the length of the spear, if you look at the length of the spear to the axe, it's there, each consecutive row would all hit the enemy at the same time. So the spears would thrust through in between the front two men and stab at the enemy in the front rank. The axes would come down and shatter the enemy's shields or hit their bodies and kill them. And the men with the maces would get really in the face of the enemy and kill them. And given the people they were currently at war with throughout this period of history, that's devastating. That's really a lethal combination. And the Russian army did very, very well during the medieval period. It saved Russia. The reason Russia exists today is because this army was designed. Actually quite similar to the Saxon army, the Anglo-Saxon army, used the same tactic. Here are the shields. The shields are embossed, so you don't have to worry too much about painting all colourful things on them. You can actually just paint the embossed shields. Downside to that is you are really limited as to shield designs. You've got the cross and you've got the Russian bear. So you are limited to the cross and the bear. The Russians use quite a few different designs on their shields. You are limited to those two designs. There's nothing intrinsically wrong with that, because you can go different colours on shields and stuff. Typically, well, as far as we know, Russian colours tended to be blues, purples, reds and dark greens. So you can easily mix your shields up to make them all look different with different coloured painting and stuff. So it's not going to be a problem. Although I personally like blank shields because I like painting the designs myself, because I'm rather boring like that.
Yeah, you've done that with the entire Viking army.
Yeah, I've done all that. I love doing the Viking army and the Saxon army as well. We did the same, just all different shields. Which is why I didn't get the Viking transfers, because you can get transfers for the Vikings.
What's to your own?
And I prefer to do my own so I can theme them a little bit better. And also the transfers always look like transfers.
I guess. Yeah.
Well, they're obviously transfers. I prefer people who paint their own shields, like that. Which is why I don't use transfers for the Romans.
Alright, yeah, because you've done all that on your own, yeah.
Yeah, I painted all the Roman shields myself. Although some of them aren't as good as some others. Because sometimes I'm rushing.
I don't notice.
Sometimes I'm rushing to finish, so the last two shields might be just blob blob blob, they're done. Because I can't be bothered. But later on I will touch it up when I get around to it. Next interesting thing, which is something missing from many figure boxes, and that is the bow. So this gives you the ability to turn some of the troops into bowmen. You don't get that in the Viking box from Griffin Beast. You don't get that in the Saxon box from Griffin Beast. You don't get them in any of the Hail Caesar boxes other than the late Roman. Oh no, because the late Roman, they're actually fixed bowmen, so you have to use them as bowmen. This enables you to use them, and I have already cannibalized one of them for my Vikings, so to see if they fitted, and it does. I will show you that figure later when it's finished. I've only put the arm on so far. We'll do the rest of it. So yeah, that's basically the stuff you get. Typically the round shield, that is for the spearmen when they're fighting in phalanx. Some of the southern Russians used the Greco-style phalanx, and they were only spearmen, whereas most of the Rus used the tactic I've already mentioned with the 3 ranks. Of course, the 4th rank would be the bows. They did that. It doesn't really matter for what you're playing, but they are really, really nice figures. Finally, I'll just mention about the bows. You get 2 sets of quivers. You get one with a bow actually fastened in, and then you get 2 sets of quivers. I have already experimented, and you can snip the bow quivers off, and they fit in there. So that gives you a little bit more of engineering if you want to make figures look slightly different, and that's what I've just done. I'm quite proud of that. Usually Russian bowmen would carry 2 bows because they broke. The bows would seldom break, but the string would break, and you didn't have time to restring it.
Too much tension.
Yeah, you're in the middle of battle, and also if the Russian weather, it's raining, it's cold, it's too sunny, it's hot.
It's too cold. Oh,
it's too cold, too hot.
No such thing to us as too cold.
Yeah.
Too hot for the enemy.
Well, that's the thing. Why do people invade Russia? Because you can never win. You can never win. Because the weather will always kill you.
I mean, if you invade from the skies and it's going to drop on Moscow, then maybe it could work. Well, if you were Daleks, yes, because you could hover.
Yeah, but we're talking real world now. I mean, it's just, it's insane. The idea that you could actually invade Russia for anyone successfully. The Mongols are the ones who came closest to winning, but the Russians sued for peace and said they would give them money, and so every 4 years they would. There's a street in Moscow called, is it St. Petersburg? No, Moscow, where it's called the Street of the Golden Horde, which is where the Russians would pile up all the gold, and the Mongols would come every 4 years and collect the gold as tribute. And then one day they came along to collect the gold, and there was none, because the Tsar, I think it was Alexander, had no, it wasn't Alexander. Do you remember the Alexanders? I forget. Was it Alexander? It might have been Alexander. He basically spent all the gold on weapons and decided to raise an army and fight. But it took the Mongols by surprise. See, it's always a bad idea invading Russia. If you invade Russia, Russia will finish the war. The Teutonic Knights invaded Russia and were slaughtered.
He never came back.
Yeah, they were absolutely slaughtered. The Islamic armies invaded Russia and not only lost, but lost all their territory as well, and almost lost their capital. The Russians got right up to Constantinople to retake it, and twice actually they did that.
And the British Empire stopped them.
That was the second time. But yeah, whenever you invade Russia, the Russians will finish the war. You may start it, they'll finish it.
Well, you never know. One day it might not be like that.
I don't see that happening.
I don't know.
Who's going to defeat them?
Are you from the future?
Who's going to defeat them?
We don't know yet.
No, seriously. Even today, there's no army in the world.
Of all the countries, what would be able to be America?
No, have no chance. Can't take the casualties. Don't have enough bullets and missiles. It's great having all these smart bombs and missiles, but just like Germany in the Second World War, they had really smart tanks, but the enemy can produce really dull.
Because Hitler just didn't want to use his gas.
Yeah, but then the Allies would have used gas against the Germans.
They were already using gas against the Germans.
No, they were.
They were?
No, the Russians did twice, and it was an accident. So.
Oh, both were accident, were they?
One was local commander. We don't know really about the other one.
No?
They gassed the wrong field, so there weren't any Germans in it. So the Germans didn't care. This is really, really early Barbarossa. The second time, the Russians used dusting aircraft to drop gas, crop dusting aircraft to spray gas, and it didn't have much particular effect. But that's besides the point. We're getting off track. Again, Germany invades Russia. What happens?
They won.
The Russians burnt Berlin.
They won, the Russians, but then the Allies and everyone started to attack Germany itself, so they had to pull back.
Well, they pulled back because they ran out of men. All the men were dead.
Because it was winter.
And because the Russian army killed many of
The
them.
Russian army was hiding in Moscow.
Killed what, 150,000 men?
The Russian army was hiding in Moscow.
At Stalingrad. You know, how does an army continue fighting when 150,000 veteran soldiers are corpses?
Like I said,
You don't win that war.
the whole army was hiding in Moscow.
Yeah, and the Germans knew the game was up, and they knew from Moscow onwards that they were going to lose. But, you know, Russia's...
If they took Moscow, they wouldn't have started with.
Oh, well, alright, okay. Napoleon took Moscow. His army starved to death.
Napoleon.
Yeah.
Which is even further than Germany.
Sorry, Napoleon had the German army under his command, the Austrian army under his command, the Italian army under his command, the Spanish army under his command, and they all invaded Russia together, and they lost.
And they had Britain kicking its backside in.
No, we were stabbing him with a pen, while Russia was hitting them with a
yeah,
bat.
are you saying stab him with a pen, end up killing him in the end?
Yeah, because it drained his resources.
Yeah. And then Malik wasn't as good.
But Russia can't run out of resources.
Russia can run out of resources.
No, it can't. It cannot run out of resources.
If you fight on all fronts.
Alright, so that means you're going to try and get the... Well, okay, the Mongols, they're the ones who came closest to defeating the Russians. They actually got right to Moscow from the rear. Okay, they came up the back way. And totally took the Russians by surprise.
Because you could have...
In 12... What?
Mongolia, Kazakhstan, Ukraine... no,
Yeah, and who runs Mongolia now?
No one runs Mongolia apart from Mongolians.
It's still under Russian sphere of influence.
How is it if you've got its own country?
Because the Mongolians invaded Russia, the Russians got on their own back and conquered Mongolia with tanks. And not only that, they levelled the capital built by Kublai Khan.
Yeah, I feel sorry
Not
for,
Kublai Khan,
I feel sorry for
the first
Mongolians because they're squished between the two amazing empires.
Well, the Mongols, yeah, they got Russia to the north, who at the time were not a threat. There was hardly anyone living
And
there.
then you got China to the south.
Which is a massive threat, yes. And the Mongols conquered China. They conquered the world. They conquered most of the Islamic Empire. They conquered China, the whole of China. The only people in history to manage to do so. And what did the Chinese do with the Mongols? They turned them into Chinese. So, it didn't work out for them. And no, invading Russia is never a good idea.
One day it'll work.
No, it won't. No, it won't. Especially not today. There's no way you can defeat Russia.
No, it's because they're fighting each other.
Who is? Europe
Everyone.
isn't fighting each other.
Europe will fight each other if you give it a chance.
No, it wouldn't. Why would it?
Because the EU. If more people
What
leave,
planet do you live on?
if more people leave the EU ain't gonna be too happy.
What's the EU going to do?
Well, it's up to the president, isn't it?
What's he going to do?
You know the EU president.
Yeah. Which
If
one?
you sign-
There's four.
Oh God. Oh God. Right. Okay. 4 EU presidents.
Yeah,
And
one of them.
England has never heard of them, and they used to run us.
Well, they still do runners. We haven't left yet.
We're nearly out. It's no 2 years. Hang on. Hang on.
So, your idea is that if the European Union breaks up, it will all go to war with each other.
No.
No, because all the European wars were to do with things other than the existence of the European Union. No, France and Germany managed to go huge periods without fighting,
It's World War II.
and Britain managed to go huge periods. There were huge periods where no one fought each other.
Well, Britain's the most ideal place for war.
Why?
Because we're an island. They have to get to you.
Oh, you mean if someone was at war with us?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we could just sit on the island
Yes.
and pull faces at them over the channel. Yeah, yeah. But we're not likely to go to war with France for the next 50 years, are we?
No.
No.
Well, what made you say 50 years?
Because within 50 years, France will be a Muslim country and we'll end up at war with them. But, and
It depends who wins.
well, France has
East.
lost.
Who wins the East?
France has lost.
No, Germany lost.
No, Germany is not overrun yet. Germany can deal with it. Germany does have the ability to deal with it because Germany is not a country, it's a collection of countries. So Bavaria can do its own thing. Baden can, all the individual states can do their own thing.
Is it me or the Russians have always had a good army? Apart from World War II and late war.
It defeated Germany. Don't say it was
the Russian army didn't.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
The people who
they stole all the buildings.
The people who weren't supposed to fight, who weren't supposed to make it to the very end, did it from.
Oh, I get what you mean. You mean the guys who were sent in to take Berlin and all the...
Who weren't supposed to make it, it's supposed to be a suicide run.
They were.
And they did it, and then Stalin shot them all.
Yeah. Because Stalin
nice leader!
Stalin was thinking of how to enforce the peace. The best way to enforce the peace in Russia is to shoot the people you don't like. Stalin was a complete lunatic.
Well, like shoot away generals and then make a world war.
Yeah, he did that too.
I like that idea, yeah. That's the idea, yeah.
We're about to fight World War II. I'm going to shoot all my field marshals. Well done, Stalin, you complete moron. Again, worst commander in history is commanding Russia. They still beat the Germans.
That's because everyone was scared of him. It was terrifying.
But Stalin was the worst person to be in charge of a country. He was completely incompetent. And he still managed to beat Germany. With all of Germany's technology advances, all of Germany's clever tactics, all of Germany's clever generals.
Oh no, come on. Let's give him a little run. Germany was fighting everyone.
Alright, Germany was fighting...
In the end, they were fighting everyone.
But mostly Germany was fighting in the Middle East. It wasn't really doing anything else. North Africa and the East, they were fighting they were supporting the rebellion in Iraq. They were fighting throughout the desert, Libya, Sinai, modern day Libya and Tunis, Egypt. That's where the war was being fought. Britain was an island with no army to speak of, and the Royal Navy was too scared to come out of harbour. So when Germany invaded Russia, as far as Germany was concerned, there was no other front. They were wrong, because they didn't realise America was going to come over and build huge air bases and bomb the living daylights out of Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So deal with it. just Hitler made a stupid mistake, but this is besides the point because we're actually discussing these figures. So let's go back to this.
What? How long are we in now?
Well,
27 minutes later.
The final bit is the helmets. These helmets are really awesome. You got some brilliant, really scary headgear, chainmail armor all over the face. I love that one there. That guy's cool. And a little gold faceplate, actually hard bronze faceplate to go over the front of a faceplate. Then you can put it on, and that's really cool. So you've got some really decent bits and bobs you can do. And I'm really going to enjoy putting these figures together and making a little raiding force, a little defensive army. So who are these guys? They're Russians. Okay, they're Russians. They're late Viking Age Russians. Basically, the people who live in Russia kept fighting each other constantly. They could never decide who was in charge. So they decided to solve the problem by basically inviting the Vikings to come and live in Russia and rule them. So the Vikings come in, and that is really the beginning of modern day Russia, because the cities the Vikings built became the centres of Russian commerce. And that's when the Russian people began to emerge as a sort of group of people who aren't fighting each other all the time, but are all allied together as Russians. If you get what I mean. Does that make sense?
Yes, they're not fighting each other anymore. They've got a leader keeping them under control.
Yeah, sort of, yeah. Because the Vikings were able to actually build the trade routes up that could be guaranteed to bring trade backwards and forwards, and that means small businesses can begin.
And they're all happy with the leader.
Well, yeah, because he doesn't belong to the other tribe.
Yep.
Yeah. The same as Normans coming to Britain to rule. Actually, no, because the Britons were never happy with the Normans, because the Normans were idiots. Hey, our whole family descended from the Normans. They're idiots. See? Same thing. I mean, our ex-king talks to plants.
Well, the Normans.
The Normans.
I don't know who the Normans are, but I forgot what country they are.
The Vikings of France, or the Vikings of northern France. There were Vikings who settled in northern France and invaded Britain.
But our
what?
northern France.
Northern France, yeah, Normandy.
But
Named
I
after the
thought the
Normans.
royal family was mostly German.
Well, it was mostly German, but I believe that Kate and William's mother and Kate are both of Norman stock. Meaning that George, the little fat prince, one day...
What about the other one?
Which one?
The daughter.
Well, what cares about her? She's not going to be president.
President?
Yeah, she's never going to be president.
Of course she's not going to be president.
Never going to happen.
You mean Queen?
Queen, yes.
Queen.
Well, they want to abolish the title Queen though, don't they? The feminists say that Queen's sexist.
Why?
Which is funny because it doesn't bother Elizabeth because she runs a whole country.
What is it?
And she's a woman and she was capable of doing it all herself.
Is that Queen Elizabeth II?
Yes.
Sorry, for some reason I can't think Elizabeth I, but I was like, she's from long back.
Oh yeah, Elizabeth I was quite a while back. Although she was a particularly good queen. She realised that trade was more important than sharp pointy things. See what a lot of British kings, all kings in the world actually do, they seem to think that power comes from sharp pointy things being stabbed towards people you don't like.
Why isn't Elizabeth's husband being next?
Because the king, the royal consort cannot be king. Because he's not in line to the throne.
I thought I was offered it.
No, he's not in line to the throne.
So who is it then? Philip?
Yeah, Philip isn't in line to the throne. Because
So
he's just
then-
married to the queen.
Who would be then?
Charles. Yes.
I'm not going to discuss that one.
Right, you suddenly realise that Charles is going to be our king, haven't you?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I have.
Yes. Isn't it going to be good?
It's going so good.
Yeah.
Oh.
Can't wait. It's going to be brilliant.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yay.
Okay. So after Charles has been king and London has been burnt and we've had a civil war, we'll be a republic. No, I think we do have some members of our family with their heads screwed on and they certainly know what they're doing, so...
Yeah, all
in
by
the
one.
long run.
All by one, and
Yes.
the one's going to be in charge.
It would be best if we skipped a generation and went straight on to the next one. I think the royal family will slowly begin to it's done a good job of modernising.
Yeah,
It's
and
not
then
as
it's going to
stuffy
go
and-
back down the pan when new ones come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the time George and his, what do you call his sister?
That's just.
Yeah, George has a sister.
Oh yeah,
Oh, some posh name.
Elizabeth something.
Elizabeth? I don't think it's Elizabeth. I don't remember if it was
Mary?
Elizabeth. Mary, could be Mary. I don't know, who cares? Anyway, he's got a sister.
It was 3 important names. That she is. It's first name, middle name, and last name, and they've all been important names for the royal family before.
Yeah, typically the name your first name isn't the name you use when you become king.
If you survived this long, tell us what the name is.
Yeah. So I think Henry, he was actually not supposed to be on the throne. It was his brother Edward who was on the throne before Henry.
Mm-hmm.
Henry the Eighth.
He was.
Yeah, it was actually his brother who was on the throne, but his brother died, and Henry never wanted to be king, and so he was just going to spend his life writing poetry and playing tennis. And then along comes the Archbishop and says, "I've made you in charge of the
Country.
British monarchy." Yeah. You know, these things do happen, so I'm not saying that Charles has to die. Maybe he should just retire and spend more time with his relatives.
Or just enjoy fishing.
Yeah, or enjoy fishing.
And forget the crown day.
And shooting furry animals in the woods.
Yes.
He does
Like
enjoy
my granddad does.
Yeah.
Do that.
So way back, back to Russians, sorry. Way back in the older days, after the Russians had after the Russians had become the Rus. So basically, they're Vikings, really. The Russia had a big problem because on one side you have Europe, dominated at the time by Germany and France, or the Teutonic Order, which was Prussians technically, the Germans. And of course you have the Byzantine Empire, which is a huge empire, actually a much diluted empire because most of it had been burnt at that point. But you have still the Byzantine Empire, which is Austria today. To the south you have the Islamic Empire, which at the time was the most terrifying thing on the planet.
And then very fast vanished.
Yep. Before that, of course, you had the Mongols coming in from the rear. So basically, Russia is in a position of being surrounded by enemies continuously. The Russian word for peace means not at war.
Yeah, I know.
Or not being attacked.
Currently not being invaded.
Yeah, currently not being invaded. I think that is actually closer.
That is it.
Yeah, that is it. Right. Thank you. So the Russian word for peace is not being invaded today. That's quite a psychological.
Because that's how it used to be.
Yeah.
You used to wake up in the morning. Yeah, now at war. That's normal.
Yeah. So what the Russians would do, they covered their entire countryside in wooden forts. Wood because it's the cheapest material, and it acted very much like Saxon forts of the Viking period.
If someone built a wooden wall, just get a flaming torch and stick it on top.
You do know that wood doesn't burn that well. And I'm not being funny. Solid chunks of wood in fortifications do not burn that well.
I mean with...
you need thinner wood to actually make the heat to burn it through. Oil. You said pour oil on it. Is that what you said?
No.
You are random.
I didn't say pour oil on it.
I thought that's what you said. Sorry, I have the machine going in my ear.
Pour oil on this.
So repeat what you said in English.
I forgot.
Okay.
Well, that's why I have to remember.
Yeah, you had basically a palisade and a fort, and these forts were all over Russia, and these would slow down any invasion, allowing the Russian army time to gather.
Fuel on it.
Fuel, right, getting brambles and stuff and putting it next to the wood and setting it on fire. Yeah, that takes time.
But it will scare the Romans, or the Russians.
Yeah, but it takes time, and the whole point of these fortresses all along the frontiers is it slows the enemy down, giving time for the Russian army to mobilise and march out.
Just get a blister, blow a hole in the wall and march forward.
As I said, this is the Dark Age, early medieval period, not that many ballistas.
Come on, the Romans are using ballistas.
We lost the technology.
Oh, God.
Oh, there was one school...
Fine, catapults.
There was one school on Earth at this point.
Where was that?
Constantinople.
Constantinople.
And it was burnt.
That's like on the edge of Europe.
It used to be the centre of Europe.
It's on the edge now.
Yeah, but most of Europe was destroyed.
Does Turkey count in Europe?
Well, it was when it was the Byzantine Empire, yes.
No, I mean, now it owns Istanbul.
Well, if you want to say so. It's not remotely European.
It's that tiny bit, meaning Turkey's kind of in...
Yeah, it's on the bottom of the Dardanelles. Technically, it is part of Europe, yeah.
Yeah.
But arguably, culturally, there's nothing what's remotely in common with Europe.
Until it joins the EU.
That's not going to happen.
I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah, and if it did, there would be a war. So it's very hard to have someone join your economic community when they publicly said they want to destroy you.
Or public have already got into the embassy and burnt it down.
Hey, this has happened before. France did the same. Louis allied with the Ottomans when they were attacking Vienna. He actually allied to the Ottomans. What an idiot. And then he looked really stupid when the Ottomans lost. And that was pretty much the end of France as well, because its extensive power began to be diluted. And it was a slow crumble until it finally fell. Same happened to the British Empire, of course. The First World War began to dilute and destroy the British Empire. when you allow local people to start trading with people they want to trade with, rather than who they're told to trade with, your empire is not going to last long after that, because people will start preferring to buy stuff from cheaper people.
Like China, when America was offering...
Which is exactly what's happening now, yes.
Japan, back in the day. When America wanted to treat it so they get stuff, and the emperor said, why not us get it from France, Germany and England?
Yeah, who all wanted to cut the Americans, yeah. But the Americans had bigger overheads than the European powers did.
And so...
Although the British Empire subsidised their trade, so to an extent. So we had an unfair advantage at the time, and it ended up bankrupting us.
Yeah, but in the end, Japan finally decided to get stuff from us and Germany, and left America
and
not gain sales.
The same today is happening with America. America built its entire empire upon trade.
Like we did.
Yeah, and now China surpassed it.
That's where we felt.
Yeah, and China surpassed it. Well, we had to contend with German manufacturers. See, the First World War was great for us because we were able to ban German goods. That meant you had to buy British goods. See? That's why one of the reasons we had the First World War, so we could demonise the Germans. And we're doing the same to the Russians now.
We just had one.
Yeah, Archduke shot an ostrich. It was the Black Hand, technically, that started World War One.
I know he did.
Yeah. Technically, if you want to get right.
It is a Black Hand. He's told.
If the Black Hand hadn't have murdered Gabriella Princip, hadn't have shot an old guy who was going to die soon anyway.
It more than just shoot him. They killed everyone who was in the cars behind.
No, he shot him in Sophia.
Everyone was killed.
Sophia was shot in the neck, I believe.
His wife?
His wife, yeah. But he wasn't a well man. Not Princip, but Princip was dying of tuberculosis, but
the bullet hole gives it away.
Yeah, no, Archduke Ferdinand. He died in 1918 of tuberculosis, Gabriella Princip. So he got to see the destruction of the Ottoman Empire before he died, so that must have really killed him inside, knowing that what he wanted had been destroyed. That kind of gives you a warm glow inside.
And he was so close to finishing it.
Yeah. But the Archduke wasn't particularly well manned, so he probably wouldn't have survived that long anyway. Although he would have had an heir, which could have enabled the Austrian Empire to carry on slightly longer.
But we will never know.
No. But anyway, all that's besides the point. So, where were we with this history thing?
Well, we kind of finished the strip.
No, I mean with the history of the Russians. You know what? It's really complicated and really long drawn out.
That's where you were.
A very interesting period. One of the most interesting bits for me is when the Teutonic Order decided that Russia weren't proper Christians and invaded them. The Russians had adopted. The Russians regarded themselves as heirs to the Roman Empire, and partly because of the Viking Guard who served, and a lot of the Viking Guard was made that protected Constantinople, and the Byzantine Empire was Russian. They were Russian Vikings, and the main army was actually British. There were housecarls from Britain and Denmark, places like that. And so all these different countries reckon that they were the ones to be the continuation of the Roman Empire. I mean, France considered itself to be a continuation of the Roman Empire. And they were Franks. They were never Roman. So, yeah, it's nuts. The Franks moved in after the Roman Empire had fallen. So, that was a decent thing. But no, the Russians regarded themselves as Christians, but they were Orthodox Christians, Russian Orthodox. The Pope didn't like this group of Christians who weren't paying taxes to Rome. Didn't particularly like that idea at all. It wasn't Rome at the time, actually. I think it was Lyon, because Rome had been sacked by the pirates.
Barbarians.
Yeah, by the barbarians. And
who also ransacked the rest of the empire.
Oh yeah.
No, well, the east of the
Hey,
empire.
they even raided Britain, so
and failed.
they were everywhere.
They obviously failed in Britain because we're here.
Well, no, raided. They couldn't conquer it. They were just raiding.
Well, like the Vikings, when they just went, nicked family, ran off.
Yeah, that's all the Vikings did.
Because they couldn't face the British.
And in the end, the Vikings came, decided not to leave, and rule over us. And that was fine, because the Vikings didn't bother us.
They did.
No, they didn't. When the Vikings
Saxon Empire, of course they did.
No, the same as happened in Russia. The same as happened in Russia. In Russia, the Vikings came in, took the country over, ruled it, were eventually replaced by the modern Russians, who are Slavs. And in Britain, the Vikings came in, got rid of the stupid overlords who weren't that good, and ran the country. But only the Vikings were the aristocracy. The normal people were Saxons.
I mean the people who got extinct? Them people?
No, that was because
who
of the North.
stopped being Saxons for the rest of their lives.
Well, no, we're still Saxon today.
And
if
no,
you really want to argue
we're not the Vikings.
We're speaking a combination of Saxon and Viking right now.
It's English, isn't it?
So we could go back right now. If I could go back to Viking times and be able to have a conversation. But you go to places like Denmark, you can speak Danish.
Why do you say?
You just don't know you can.
Yeah, what confuses me though is that they say that our language is English, but Americans speak it.
Yeah, because America was an English colony, populated by people from
nearly
England.
Every country speaks English.
Yeah.
Including
But
Russia.
America was founded by Englishmen.
And Australia, Australia is ours.
Yeah, America was never a nation of immigrants. They were English colonists. And when the Germans went, massive amounts of Germans went to live there, and the Americans wanted to throw them out because the Germans weren't becoming British, weren't becoming English.
They were speaking.
Yeah, they spoke German. The Pennsylvania Dutch all spoke German. Still do today.
Now 1/3 of America speaks different language.
Oh yeah, I mean, well...
come on.
No,
you have tourists.
Please don't confuse what I'm saying. Most of America was Spanish. You do know that, don't you?
No.
America conquered all those bits of America. Only that bit there on the map is British America, right? All that was Spanish. That bit there was French. The French. That bit there is Russian.
It's like nicked.
Yeah, they invaded it.
No, they didn't nick that bit up there. Because the Russians handed it to them.
Yeah, but the Americans and the Pope, President Pope, invaded. Was it Pope? I think it was Pope. Invaded them. Invaded the all these Spanish colonies, Spanish countries, and made them American.
Yeah,
I mean, even Texas wasn't British. It wasn't English. It was Spanish, Mexican. Most of the people living there were Mexicans. So, yeah. So don't get wrong what I'm trying to say. I'm saying that the England area of America was the initial states that were laid down by the English, and they broke away from us. After that, the Americans, when they were independent, they then went to war and invaded all the other states. So it was really a militaristic empire from the beginning.
It still is.
Yeah, well, every empire needs to be able to project power. The reason the British Empire did so well was because Britain didn't project the empire with the British Army particularly. They had local troops who would do the fighting, just like the Roman Empire did. So you sort of outsource the war. So you don't need to use all your own troops, you just need a handful of well-trained troops to send out, a few thousand, and all the locals will do all the fighting for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like the Boers in the Transvaal. The Boers wouldn't pay the black Africans to fight for them. But the British paid people to carry equipment and fight for them. No, well, not fight for them, the Africans weren't allowed to take part in the war. But
Which is better for the Africans.
yeah, but the British Army paid them
Yeah, and the Africans
to fight for them.
have to.
And so all the experienced African people went to work for the British because the British paid them to work for the British. So that's why the Boers lost. So it's basic economics. Although it ended up bankrupt in Britain, but you know, these things happen. There could be a lot more things I could mention about the Russians. It is a really long, drawn-out thing. The Teutonic Knights did invade them. I'm going to do some videos on that later, actually based properly on that. The Teutonic Knights invaded Russia and were defeated by Alexander Nevsky. I forget the date, but look it up. It's quite an interesting thing. And this video has gone on quite a while. We have done a lot of talking in it.
I think we've beaten the world record for an unboxing video.
Yeah, I think we have, because we have done a lot of nattering and talking. Because we have got a lot in our heads that
It's
we really
called
need to get out.
Running a channel, which when I'm older, I will be naming it the channel Random Channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is a great box, and I would totally recommend it. It is new out, it's not been out very long. So feel free to go and have a look at it. If you want to get hold of one, actually, you can check out our eBay shop, because we sold them on there. The link will be below. Just go down to our eBay shop and click it.
If we remember to do that.
I was trying to remember.
I told people in my videos that I'd do that. And guess what? I completely forgot.
So, that is the end of the video. Do you want to do the outro thingy?
So, if you enjoyed this video, sorry about that. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And comment down below what you think of the Russians. That's everything from me.
And that's everything from him. Goodbye.
See ya.